Accra, the vibrant capital of Ghana, has long stood as the heartbeat of the nation's culture, commerce, and politics. For decades, it has been the center of opportunity, attracting dreamers, workers, and entrepreneurs from every corner of Ghana and beyond. Yet, over the last 2 decades, Accra's transformation has been so dramatic that it has become one of the most remarkable urban growth stories on the African continent. The city, once defined by low-rise buildings, sprawling slums, and a laid-back lifestyle, is now fast becoming a metropolis of gleaming skyscrapers, modern expressways, smart housing complexes, and a bustling 24-hour economy. This transformation is both inspiring and controversial, a tale of rapid modernization, cultural evolution, economic ambition, and the challenges of sustainable growth. To understand Accra's rapid development, one must trace the forces driving this change. A city of humble beginnings. Accra's early growth was modest. Originally a cluster of fishing villages along the Gulf of Guinea, it gradually expanded as a trading port under colonial rule. After Ghana's independence in 1957, Kwame Nkrumah envisioned Accra as not only the nation's capital, but also a symbol of African progress. Infrastructure like the Independence Square, the Tema motorway, and early housing projects hinted at a future city with global stature. Yet for decades after independence, Accra's growth was uneven, marked by urban sprawl, informal settlements, and underdeveloped infrastructure. By the 1980s and 1990s, Accra was grappling with congestion, weak housing systems, unreliable utilities, and large informal economies. Slums like Old Fadama, often called Sodom and Gomorrah, became symbols of the challenges of urbanization without planning. Still, Accra's cultural vibrancy and strategic role in West Africa ensured that it remained a magnet for migration and commerce. The 21st century, winds of change. The new millennium ushered in a wave of transformation. Globalization, foreign investment, a growing middle class, and political stability positioned Ghana, and Accra by extension, as a promising hub for development. The discovery of oil in 2007 injected fresh optimism, while consistent economic growth drew the attention of international investors. Suddenly, Accra became a city where multinational corporations wanted to set up headquarters, where diaspora communities wanted to invest, and where ambitious developers envisioned skyscrapers and luxury neighborhoods. Infrastructure projects, high-end real estate developments, and modern commercial hubs began reshaping the skyline. Districts such as Airport City, Cantonments, Ridge, and East Legon emerged as epicenters of modern urban living. Shopping malls like Accra Mall, West Hills Mall, and Marina Mall signaled a shift in lifestyle consumption. International hotel brands, tech hubs, and banking institutions further accelerated the city's modernization. Skyscrapers rise over the coast. Perhaps the most visible symbol of Accra's rapid development is its skyline. Just 2 decades ago, the city's tallest structures were government buildings and hotels like the Novotel and the Continental. Today, ultra-modern towers dominate key areas. Developments such as the Vlejo Vista Apartments, the Exchange in Airport City, and the Atlantic Tower have redefined architectural ambition in Ghana. Airport City in particular has emerged as a gleaming modern business district, housing corporate headquarters, luxury hotels, and retail spaces that rival those of other global cities. Private developers, both local and international, are pouring billions into real estate projects that cater to the city's elite, expatriates, and a growing middle class eager to embrace cosmopolitan living. Roads, bridges, and connectivity. No city can modernize without infrastructure, and Accra has witnessed significant efforts to improve transportation and connectivity. The construction and expansion of highways, such as the Accra-Tema motorway rehabilitation, the George Bush Highway, N1, and the Pokuas Interchange, have reshaped mobility across the metropolis. Flyovers and interchanges, once rare, are becoming more common. The Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, popularly called Dubai by locals, symbolizes Ghana's ambition to modernize urban transport infrastructure. These projects are not just about easing traffic. They also signal to investors and residents alike that Accra is serious about becoming a competitive modern city. Yet challenges remain. Despite these projects, traffic congestion is still one of the city's greatest frustrations. As the population continues to swell, Accra's road networks are often overwhelmed, pointing to the urgent need for integrated urban transport systems, including reliable mass transit and rail. The rise of the middle class and lifestyle shifts. Accra's development story is also tied to the rise of a new middle class. Increased disposable income, global exposure, and diaspora influence have changed how residents consume, live, and socialize. Trendy restaurants, rooftop lounges, luxury car dealerships, and gated communities are now staples of Accra's social landscape. Neighborhoods like East Legon, Cantonments, and Trisaco Valley are synonymous with affluence and exclusivity. The city's nightlife, with hotspots in Osu and Lebone, has become a magnet for young professionals and tourists alike. Shopping malls, once unimaginable in Ghana, are now lifestyle centers where fashion, cinema, and dining converge. Global brands have also entered the market, further integrating Accra into the global consumer economy. Technology and the smart city vision. Another driving force behind Accra's rapid development is technology. The city is gradually embracing digital infrastructure, with tech hubs like Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology, MST, and innovation centers fueling Ghana's startup ecosystem. Accra aspires to be a smart city, one where technology improves efficiency, security, and service delivery. Efforts to digitize services, expand internet connectivity, and encourage fintech innovations are reshaping how residents interact with government, businesses, and each other. Mobile money platforms, for instance, have revolutionized financial inclusion, making Accra one of Africa's leading cities in digital finance adoption. Real estate boom and housing challenges. Accra's skyline may glitter with high-end developments, but this boom comes with contradictions. Luxury apartments and office towers often stand in stark contrast to the housing struggles of average residents. While developers focus on catering to the wealthy and expatriates, affordable housing for low-income groups remains scarce. This duality reflects a larger debate. Is Accra developing for all or just for the privileged few? For every glass tower in Airport City, there are crowded slums and unplanned settlements struggling with sanitation, flooding, and insecurity. The government and private sector face the urgent task of balancing modernization with inclusivity. Cultural identity amid modernization. Despite the rapid modernization, Accra has not lost its cultural soul. The city still pulses with music, art, and traditions that reflect Ghanaian identity. The rise of Afrobeat and artists like Sarkodie, Stonebwoy, and King Promise has placed Accra at the center of Africa's music revolution. Festivals, street markets, and traditional ceremonies continue to thrive alongside new modern spaces. Art galleries, cultural centers, and initiatives such as the Chale Street Art Festival showcase how Accra is blending tradition with modern creativity. This cultural dynamism ensures that even as skyscrapers rise, Accra remains proudly Ghanaian at its core. Environmental and sustainability concerns. Rapid development comes with costs. Accra faces serious challenges in waste management, flooding, and environmental sustainability. The city's drainage systems are often overwhelmed during heavy rains, leading to devastating floods. The rapid pace of construction also raises concerns about green spaces, coastal erosion, and long-term urban sustainability. Addressing these issues requires visionary urban planning, a shift from reactive measures to proactive strategies that ensure Accra's development is both modern and environmentally resilient. The future of Accra, a global city in the making. Accra's rapid transformation is far from over. The government's ambition to build a 24-hour economy, investments in renewable energy, expansion of airport facilities, and partnerships with foreign investors all signal a city preparing to take its place on the global stage. If managed well, Accra could become one of Africa's leading smart cities, a hub not just for Ghana but for the entire West African subregion. Its location, stability, and dynamism give it a unique advantage. But the true test lies in ensuring that modernization benefits all residents, not just a privileged few. Accra's journey from slums to skyscrapers is a living story, unfolding every day. It is a city in motion, vibrant, ambitious, chaotic, and inspiring all at once. For some, the rapid development is a dream come true. For others, it is a reminder of widening inequalities. Yet, there is no denying that Accra has entered a new chapter in its history, one defined by bold ambition and the promise of a brighter future. Accra's transformation cannot be explained without acknowledging the intense migration patterns that fuel its growth. Every year, tens of thousands of Ghanaians relocate from smaller towns and rural areas to the capital, seeking education, employment, or business opportunities. For many, Accra is the land of promise, the city where dreams are made, fortunes are built, and global connections can be forged. This constant influx has dramatically expanded the city's population, placing pressure on housing, public services, and infrastructure. Entire communities have sprung up on the outskirts of Accra, in places like Kasoa, Adenta, and Amasaman, where new residents carve out spaces in rapidly developing but often underplanned settlements. For city planners, this growth presents both opportunities and challenges. On one hand, migration fuels Accra's labor market, providing energy and innovation. On the other hand, it overwhelms systems not designed for such rapid expansion. Schools become overcrowded, health facilities overstretched, and public utilities strained to breaking point. The irony of Accra's development story lies here. Even as luxury estates rise in Airport City, thousands of migrants settle in wooden kiosks and makeshift housing along waterways. Their stories remind us that Accra's modernization, while dazzling, must grapple with inclusivity. The informal economy, the city's hidden engine, beyond the glittering towers and shopping malls, lies an economy that keeps Accra alive, the informal sector. Street hawkers, market women, taxi and trotro drivers, artisans, and small-scale traders make up a vast portion of the city's workforce. Makola Market, Kanishi, Medina, and Agbogblashi are buzzing with economic activity that sustains millions. These spaces symbolize resilience and entrepreneurship. They also reflect the contradictions of Accra's development. While the city is integrating global brands and multinational corporations, it remains deeply dependent on the informal economy, where regulation is weak but adaptability is high. Urban development often threatens these livelihoods. Redevelopment projects sometimes demolish markets and displace hawkers, sparking tensions between authorities and communities. For Accra to modernize sustainably, policies must integrate, not erase the informal economy, ensuring that modernization does not push aside those who form the city's foundation. Education and human capital. Another pillar of Accra's development is education. The city is home to some of Ghana's top institutions, the University of Ghana at Legon, Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, and Ashesi University. Though located in Barakuso, its influence radiates into Accra. These institutions not only provide human capital for the city, but also drive innovation and entrepreneurship. The presence of universities, technical schools, and international academies contributes to a youthful, skilled workforce. This is particularly critical as Accra positions itself as a hub for technology, finance, and service industries. However, the challenge remains ensuring that education keeps pace with the demands of a modern city. Skills in technology, engineering, urban planning, and creative industries are in high demand, yet not always adequately supplied. Health and social services in a growing city. With population growth comes the need for strong health systems. Accra hosts some of Ghana's most advanced medical facilities, Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital, 37 Military Hospital, and Ridge Hospital. Recent investments in modernizing these facilities reflect the city's growing role as a healthcare hub. Private hospitals and clinics are also multiplying, catering to the middle and upper classes. Medical tourism, though still developing, is beginning to emerge as Accra attracts patients from across West Africa. Yet disparities remain stark. In some neighborhoods, access to healthcare is still limited, and overcrowding in public hospitals remains a persistent problem. Social services such as waste management, sanitation, and housing are equally strained. Accra's modernization story will only be sustainable if these basic services match the pace of luxury towers and highways. The role of the diaspora. The Ghanaian diaspora plays an enormous role in Accra's development. Remittances from abroad inject billions of dollars annually into the economy, much of which fuels real estate and business ventures in Accra. Beyond money, the diaspora brings global ideas, networks, and ambitions. Many of the high-rise projects in the city are diaspora-funded. Events like Year of Return 2019 and Beyond the Return campaigns positioned Accra as a global African city, drawing African Americans and other diasporans to invest, relocate, and connect with the capital. This global dimension gives Accra a unique identity. It is at once deeply Ghanaian and yet outward looking, bridging Africa with the world. The challenge lies in ensuring that diaspora driven development aligns with local needs rather than pricing out ordinary Ghanaians. Tourism and the global spotlight. Accra has become a cultural and tourist magnet in recent years. The city's beaches, art centers, nightlife, and historical sites attract millions of visitors annually. Independence Square, the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, Jamestown, and the bustling Osu Oxford Street are staples for tourists. Cultural festivals such as Afrochella, now Afrofuture, Chalawote Street Art Festival, and December in Accra events have turned the city into one of Africa's hottest destinations during the holiday season. Tourism not only boosts the economy but also rebrands Accra as a creative capital on the continent. Hotels, resorts, and Airbnb rentals have boomed in response, further reshaping the city's landscape. Luxury hotels like Kempinski and Marriott have added to the skyline, signaling Accra's rise as a regional hospitality hub. Government vision and policy. Urban development is never accidental. It is shaped by policies and leadership. Ghana's government has laid out various plans to modernize Accra, from the Greater Accra Regional Development Plan to the Smart City initiatives. Partnerships with countries like China, Japan, and the UAE have injected capital and expertise into roads, bridges, and housing projects. The government's flagship 24-hour economy vision, which seeks to expand economic activity beyond the traditional workday, positions Accra at the center of Ghana's economic transformation. If successful, this policy could make the city more competitive globally, attracting investors and creating jobs. Still, governance challenges, bureaucracy, corruption, land disputes, and inconsistent policy execution often slow down progress. For Accra's development to remain sustainable, governance must match ambition with accountability. The real estate boom and urban expansion. Accra's Skyline tells a story of ambition and investment. Real estate development has become one of the most visible signs of change in the city. Gated communities like Trasacco Valley, luxury apartment complexes like Villaggio, and high-rise office towers in Airport City have redefined the meaning of urban living in Ghana. These developments are not merely structures, they are symbols of aspiration. They reflect the desire of Ghanaians, especially the middle and upper classes, to live in spaces that match global standards. For the diaspora and foreign investors, they provide a tangible way to connect with Ghana's economic promise. However, the boom is not evenly distributed. While some areas experience rapid transformation, others remain underdeveloped. East Legon, cantonments, Zorwulu, and Ridge are known for luxury estates, while neighborhoods on the periphery, such as Kasoa, Ashaiman, and Amasaman, struggle with inadequate infrastructure. This uneven development mirrors the broader socio-economic inequalities within the city. Land acquisition remains one of the most complicated aspects of Accra's real estate growth. Customary land ownership, chieftaincy disputes, and multiple sales of the same parcel often create conflicts that delay or derail projects. Despite these challenges, Accra's property market continues to attract massive investments, reflecting both the confidence and risks of urban expansion. Transportation and mobility. A city on the move. Accra's growth has brought with it a transportation crisis. The city's road network, though expanding, is often overwhelmed by the sheer volume of vehicles. Traffic jams during rush hours can stretch for miles, costing the city millions in lost productivity. To address this, government and private partners have invested heavily in road expansions, flyovers, and interchanges. The Kwame Nkrumah Circle Interchange, dubbed Dubai by locals, stands as one of the largest infrastructure projects in West Africa. The Pokuas Interchange, another massive undertaking, connects several major highways and eases traffic flow in the western corridors of the city. Despite these efforts, the absence of a comprehensive public transit system remains a glaring gap. Trotros, the privately owned minibuses that serve as the backbone of Accra's transport, are affordable but unreliable. Taxis and ride-hailing services like Uber and Bolt provide alternatives, but they are costly for the average commuter. A modern city requires mass transit systems, trains, metro buses, and possibly light rail. There have been proposals for rail systems linking Accra to Tema, Nisawam, and Kasoa, but implementation has been slow. The hope remains that as the city matures, these systems will become a reality, reducing congestion and improving mobility. Energy and powering a modern capital. Accra's rapid development demands enormous energy resources. The city's dependence on electricity is growing as businesses, industries, and households adopt modern appliances, digital systems, and air conditioning. Ghana has made significant progress in stabilizing electricity supply, but the infamous Dumsor power outages crisis of the past still lingers in public memory. Investments in renewable energy are becoming part of the city's modernization. Solar power projects, rooftop panels, and government-led renewable initiatives aim to supplement the national grid. If Accra is to become a true smart city, reliable and sustainable energy must be guaranteed. The rise of electric mobility, including the government's introduction of electric buses, points to a future where Accra could lead Africa in green urban transport. Coupled with renewable charging stations, this shift may redefine mobility and environmental sustainability in the capital. Water, sanitation, and waste management. For all its glittering towers and luxury malls, Accra still grapples with some of the most basic urban challenges. Access to clean water is uneven, with many neighborhoods relying on private boreholes or tanker services. During dry seasons, water shortages remind residents that the city's infrastructure is struggling to keep up with demand. Sanitation is another persistent issue. Waste collection services are improving, but illegal dumping and inadequate recycling systems still plague the city. Plastic waste, in particular, clogs drains and contributes to flooding during heavy rains. Efforts such as the Clean Accra campaign highlight government and private sector attempts to tackle the problem, but much work remains. The paradox of Accra's modernization is clear here. While parts of the city showcase futuristic architecture, other areas face the daily reality of poor sanitation and flooding. True development will only be achieved when the basics, water, sanitation, and waste management, are universally addressed. Accra at night, the rise of a 24-hour economy. Accra is not only transforming during the day, it is also reinventing itself at night. The city's nightlife has exploded in recent years, reflecting both a cultural shift and economic opportunity. Rooftop bars in Osu, lounges in East Legon, and beach clubs along the coast attract young professionals, expatriates, and tourists. Music plays a central role in this nightlife. Ghana's artists, from Sarkodie and Stonebwoy to newer stars like Black Sheriff, have turned Accra into a music capital. The city hosts concerts, festivals, and events that attract fans from across Africa and the diaspora. The government's vision of a 24-hour economy builds on this cultural energy. The idea is to extend productivity beyond traditional working hours, ensuring that businesses, transportation, and services run around the clock. For Accra, this could mean a future where factories, shops, hospitals, and offices remain active all day and night, driving growth and creating jobs. But for this vision to succeed, infrastructure must support it. Reliable power, security, and transportation are essential. If implemented well, the 24-hour economy could make Accra one of the most competitive cities in Africa. The creative economy and global recognition. Accra's rise is not only about buildings and infrastructure, it is also about creativity. The city is a hub for African art, music, fashion, and film. Designers like Christy Brown and brands such as Kente Gentleman showcase Ghanaian fashion to the world. The city's art galleries, including New Book Foundation and Artists Alliance Gallery, are putting Ghanaian creativity on the global map. Film and media are also booming. Accra serves as a backdrop for Nollywood and Ghanaian movies, and streaming platforms are creating new opportunities for storytellers. The creative economy not only provides jobs, but also shapes how the world perceives Accra as a city of talent, vibrancy, and innovation. Environmental resilience and the climate challenge. As Accra modernizes, environmental sustainability remains one of its greatest challenges. Rising sea levels threaten coastal areas such as Labadi and Jamestown. Flooding, worsened by poor drainage and indiscriminate construction, has become a recurring crisis. Air pollution from traffic and industrial activities is slowly creeping into public consciousness. To secure its future, Accra must adopt green planning. This includes expanding green spaces, improving drainage systems, regulating construction near waterways, and investing in renewable energy. Urban farming initiatives, tree planting campaigns, and recycling projects are gaining traction, but they must be scaled up. A resilient Accra will not only be defined by skyscrapers, but also by how it adapts to environmental risks. Without this, modernization may become unsustainable in the long run.
Say that you'll see the other side. No, just a week only. You are for try you can. Yeah, for the other side. And you're seeing the airport. If you have, you see the other way. See, we'll try you can.
Future possibilities, and Accra's global identity until we wrap it up strong. Mega projects shaping the future. Every great city is defined by its signature projects, iconic structures, and transformative initiatives that symbolize its ambition. In Accra, several mega projects are underway or on the horizon, signaling a bold vision for the future. The Accra Marine Drive project, a vast redevelopment along the city's coastline, aims to transform the beachfront into a modern tourism and business district. Once completed, it will host hotels, shopping centers, cultural institutions, and entertainment hubs, rivaling some of the most famous waterfronts in the world. Plans for an expanded Kotoka International Airport, coupled with improved road links to Tema Port, are designed to position Accra as a major gateway to West Africa. These transport hubs are not just about movement of people and goods. They are about branding Accra as a city open to the world. In addition, new industrial zones and technology parks are planned around the city, aimed at creating jobs and diversifying the economy. These include partnerships with global powers like China, the UAE, and Japan, who see Accra as a strategic base for investment. Governance, leadership, and urban planning. The speed of Accra's growth requires visionary leadership. Urban planning is the backbone of sustainable development. Yet historically, Accra has struggled with uncoordinated growth. Informal settlements expand rapidly, often without proper infrastructure, while high-end projects are developed in isolation from wider city needs. Modern governance must bridge this gap. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, and allied municipal bodies are tasked with regulating development, managing sanitation, and planning infrastructure. However, bureaucracy, corruption, and limited resources have often slowed progress. Still, there are signs of improvement. The integration of geographic information systems, GIS, for urban planning, digital property addressing, and smart governance tools is helping to modernize city management. For Accra to thrive, leadership must prioritize inclusivity, transparency, and forward-thinking policies. The economy of a modern capital. Accra is not just Ghana's capital, it is its economic powerhouse. The city contributes a significant portion of the nation's GDP, driven by finance, trade, real estate, hospitality, and technology. Multinational corporations see Accra as a safe entry point into West Africa, setting up regional headquarters in the city. Banking and financial services have boomed, supported by Ghana's strong fintech ecosystem. Mobile money adoption, digital banking, and startups are redefining how business is done. This digital shift has not only improved efficiency, but has also attracted global investors eager to tap into Africa's fast-growing financial technology sector. At the same time, traditional markets like Makola and Kaneshi remain vital. They remind us that Accra's economy is both modern and traditional. A blend of skyscraper boardrooms and open-air stalls, international firms, and local artisans. This diversity is both a strength and a challenge, requiring policies that accommodate all layers of the economy. Social inequality, the two faces of Accra. Perhaps the most striking reality of Accra's development is the coexistence of wealth and poverty. Luxury apartments overlook slums, air-conditioned SUVs share roads with overloaded trotros. International schools exist alongside under-resourced public institutions. Old Fadama, one of the city's largest informal settlements, stands as a reminder of inequality. Despite numerous attempts at relocation and redevelopment, thousands still live in precarious conditions, lacking proper sanitation and secure housing. For them, Accra's modernization feels distant, even alien. This duality raises an important question. Who is Accra being built for? If development continues to favor the elite while neglecting the majority, social tensions may rise. True progress must bridge these divides, ensuring that modernization benefits all residents, not just the privileged few. Culture in the midst of change. Even as skyscrapers rise, Accra's culture remains unshaken. Music, food, and festivals continue to define the city's heartbeat. Street food vendors serve wakye, kelewele, and grilled tilapia on corners just steps away from high-end restaurants. Drumming, dance, and oral storytelling thrive alongside digital entertainment platforms. The Chale Woth Street Art Festival is one of the most powerful examples of how Accra blends tradition with modern creativity. Each year, artists transform Jamestown into an open-air gallery, attracting thousands of visitors from around the world. Events like Afrofuture further highlight Accra's global cultural influence, drawing diaspora communities and celebrities alike. Accra's identity is thus not only in its buildings, but also in its people, their resilience, creativity, and unshakable pride in their city. Accra as a regional and global hub. Accra is positioning itself as more than just a national capital. With political stability, a growing economy, and cultural vibrancy, it is emerging as a regional hub in West Africa. International conferences, sporting events, and diplomatic missions increasingly choose Accra as their base. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, headquartered in Accra, is one of the clearest symbols of the city's global importance. Hosting this initiative cements Accra's role as a center of trade, negotiation, and continental integration.